Well, very much welcome to the final hangout of our specialization in global affairs. We are extremely happy to see that you're on board, that so many of you have managed to go with us through the entire course, and now we are so happy to have some of our paper givers be involved in our hangout. I am Madeline Hosley from Leiden University, specialized in international relations. My colleague is Professor Griffith.
Hi there, I'm Richard Griffiths, and also, as you can see, in Leiden. And I think this is always nice at the end of a course like this. It's the first time we really have a chance to see face-to-face the people we've been working with all this time. And of course, for us, it's been a long time because you've been through all 3 courses, and now this is the capstone. So this is a lovely opportunity for us, and I hope that, we don't mess it up completely. So I'm going to hand over to Leah, who's over in Geneva, and then she's going to pass on to the first of our students.
Yeah, thank you, Richard. So warm welcome also from the University of Geneva. So my name is Leah Stadler, and actually I would first like to thank you all for your great essays. So now we have read a lot of them, and I must say that personally, I also learned a lot, and it was great to see how you managed actually to write the essays in a really inspiring and interesting way. So really congratulations, and thank you very much for all your support in making this MOOC actually be a great success. I may maybe start here with giving some statistics if you're interested. So we had 236 students subscribed in this capstone project, and 120 of you actually submitted your final essay. And the great news is that 150 from this 120 actually passed and got the grade. So that is really congratulations. That also shows that you have done a great job. And the average score is actually 85%. So really you performed well. And yeah, so 25% of you got the bonus point, which on top tells you that you have been writing very interesting essays that were also very appreciated by your peers. In terms of country background, maybe it's interesting for you. You came from 66 different countries, and 35% from emerging economies. So we are happy to see that we are also reach out globally. And yeah, I think that's it in terms of statistics. And with that, I will hand over to Madeleine. Maybe she can talk about the ebook.
Thank you very much. Indeed, as you already know, we have some prizes for those of you who worked so hard. And one of those is indeed that you have already been contacted, I believe, to be included with your essay into an ebook. And this is wonderful because that means that we can really benefit from each other's work, read each other's work, and that this is going to be available. There is also another prize. We'll get back to that, or maybe this is the moment.
This might be the moment. Yeah. Some of you undertook what was called the OECD challenge. This is a challenge that the OECD put forward, and the winner of that challenge will be invited to their spring meeting in 2 or 3 months' time in Paris. I've been in contact with the OECD, but we're waiting for a formal response for them. So we'll announce the winner, been selected, the winner of the challenge, in a subsequent email to you all, so that you'll be there. The essay will be included also in the ebook, so you'll be able to read it for yourself. We got a number of very good responses to the challenge. It was very difficult to judge, but we think basically on the edge, the winner was well deserved, and well, they'll be in Paris explaining their ideas to the OECD in a few months' time. So that's been fun as well. I'm pleased that we were able to do that, and I hope that we can continue working with the OECD in this way as well in the future.
And that keeps a little bit still of this moment that people wonder who is the winner, and so we can still keep this a little bit to ourselves at this point. However, we also have indeed invited, I should say, students with excellent essays. And we have two students at this point who have actually recorded the presentation on their own essay. Due to all kind of constraints, this is the way we will do this. So it's a bit of an experiment, but we believe this will be a nice way to have the presentation. And we have live with us right now Demirlan Mukashe. So Demirlan, sorry I may be mispronouncing your name, as we always do. It's difficult to do that.
He hasn't corrected us yet.
You know, that's true. So that could be a good sign. So thank you very much, Demirlan, for being online today. And your essay, obviously, was one that was judged to be very, very good. So thank you for having done this work, and congratulations on being in our Hangout today. We know there could be some small technical issues, but at this point, I think we can invite you to do a short presentation on your own essay. It looks to me like we lost a little bit of the connection with Demirlan.
Are you there, Demirlan?
Nope, we lost the connection. So I think what we will then do is get to our backup scenario, which is that we change the order at this point a little bit. Indirectly, Aida Carrasco is actually ready to give her presentation because it is already available. That is a bit easier. So I suggest, if my colleagues agree, that we now would actually move to Aida's presentation, and very hopefully Demirlan will be with us again shortly. Okay, that may be a little bit more difficult in technical terms than we had.
What organizations can do to ensure that benefits for all. I consider this issue a vital topic for developing countries, which, being major receptors of FDI, still don't know how to direct funds to achieve sustainable development. It is certain that these countries need investment because they don't have the capability of generating these flows by themselves. But they also need to know how to take advantage of them to grow. So, does FDI boost economic and social development in developing countries? My answer, after conducting the research, is yes. But only if FDI means fair salaries, protection of the environment, training, transfer of technology, and equalitarian conditions for the investors and the country of this. To achieve these conditions, the international law and its organizations must be reinforced, and cooperation among states must be strengthened. And what I suggest for this is a partnership between all the stakeholders, which are international organizations, governments, citizens, and the foreign companies. And I want to focus on international organizations. They need to include all the nations, not only the most powerful ones. The World Trade Organization must have an active role in FTAs, and it should be reinforced to work both for the investors and the receptors through training, better evaluation of the investments, and more control over corruption. Social responsibility must be included in all FDI contracts. Obviously, these partnerships will generate benefits for all. Foreign companies will have an easier operation, and growth and development will be sure because of higher salaries and well-evaluated productive projects. The environment will be protected, and international organizations will have more impact and recognition, both by investors and governments. The weakness stays in how to convince all the players of taking part on these partnerships. Sadly, each player looks for its own interest and not for the public good. This is an important task of international organizations. I think probably the most important. And wrapping up, I would like to say that globalization presents many opportunities for developing countries, much of them related with FDI. However, it is the responsibility of each country to take advantage of them. International organizations must be a link and a mediator between companies and governments, and foreign direct investment can boost development if the stakeholders work together, following following international rules, implementing productive projects in the right areas, and working in an environment free of corruption. I think that's all from my side. Thank you very much.
Yes, well, I think we all got the contributions. Sorry that in the beginning we may have all missed the introduction. This is Aida Carrasco from Mexico, and the essay is titled Transnational Capital Flows and the Effects on Development. That was her contribution, and we would all be very tempted probably to ask questions.
She's not here, but it's a very optimistic view of foreign direct investment. So not often you hear that from Latin America.
Yeah, and still an essay that obviously actually was being reviewed very, very positively in our process. So congratulations. Maybe Aida, you'll see this hangout later, and congratulations on this achievement.
Yeah, from me too.
Yeah, wonderful.
And I'm sure from Leah.
Yeah, congratulations from me as well.
Terrific. Well, then let us now try again. I think Demirlan. Yes, you can hear us. That is wonderful. Demirlan, would it be okay for you to now present your paper?
Yes, I'm ready to present my paper. My paper calls Taiwan State Issue, describing a relationship between People's Republic of China and the Republic of China. It's a paper about Taiwan Strait conflict. We know that today a lot of international conflict has a big meaning, importance, and the Taiwan Strait conflict is a confrontation which could be very serious impact in the future, because in People's Republic China have a contribution with the USA. There are lots of agreements and negotiations. And also, my final work described this topic in a historical side, political side, conceptual, and social side. I will try to fully explain you all of this side. First of all, in historical side, I choose periods from 1949 to recent day, because it is a problem for has a big history. And then in a conceptual side, I chose three concepts. First of all is a concept of constructivism, because it's conflict and tension in one country. And also I will try to explain social side with social trusting service. In my work presented some surveys, some figures, if you can see in my work, where to explain how Taiwanese people assess relationship with China in a different basis. Yes, and also my work has a very big amount of documentation, and that's why I conclude that this conflict can be solved in a basis of fully agreement with the two states. It means that China, People's Republic of China, should not use armed force to resolve this conflict, and Taiwan should guarantee of non-proclamation of independence. Sorry to my English actually, and that's all maybe in my work. If you have a question or some clarification, I can answer you. Okay. Any questions?
Thank you very much for the presentation. It was very clear, I think, to summarize. Does anyone have a question indeed, very specifically? It's a broad paper. It's a lot of issues at stake there.
I have a question. I mean, you've done all of this research, and then you've just had the elections of a pro-independence premier for Taiwan. What is your assessment now of the short-term prospects of the next year or so?
In the next year, I think it will be some tensions between two parties, because in the next year, in Taiwan will be election, and also if I see in my work, as I see in my work, they are discredited to ma politic, to uh, to consensus 1992. It's a bigger problem, the disapproval of Taiwan nation, and I see there will be some problems and tensions in this case. And also we notice that Hong Kong umbrella revolution also affect to Taiwanese people, and also it will be some problems in the future with them. But I should notice that there are a lot of agreements during the last decade, and we should understand that there are a lot of economical and political and cultural agreements and negotiation. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yep.
Thank you very much for a answer immediately to the question raised. Absolutely, and it is fascinating to us to see that you chose this topic. You are being in Russia and you focused on this conflict. So thank you very much for having involved. How come that you have the interest? That's a very last short follow-up in this specific conflict.
Excuse me, can you repeat your question?
Yeah, you are being based in Russia, and you are focusing on a very specific conflict that takes place between mainland China and Taiwan. So, what drives you to focus?
Yes, I want to choose some conflict where I can be objective, because I have no interest in Taiwan, in China specifically, and I think that if you want to be obvious objective, if you want to be very good task work, you should write in this conflict. And also I choose this conflict because it's a very it will be very impact in the future of this world. We also in Russian academician world there are not so many research work about this conflict. Yes, and also I used all of my not all, but almost all of my bibliography from another sources like CIPRI and something like that. Yes.
Great. Well, thank you very much.
Just comment on that. I found it very interesting that you say you chose it because you're kind of unbiased and you are kind of objective, and this will actually facilitate the analysis. I find this very interesting because very often we hear, okay, I've chosen this topic because I have a particular interest, and maybe I'm also like part of one position. So thank you very much for this insight. And I would like to flip it back to everyone who is actually listening now, our Google Hangout, to invite everybody to share this kind of features that help you actually decide on your topic or to write the essay, because when you post it on the forum, we can actually feed it actually in the next capstone project, so that the other, like your future peers, will learn from your experience. So everything that helps you in terms of writing the essay or even finding the topic. So that's just a short comment from my side.
Terrific, absolutely. So in a way, you're also helping a next generation down do their work. And thank you very much. That was very nice that it all worked out also technically to do this presentation. Thank you, Tamerlan. Thank you very much. I think the next presentation that we will have is actually by Luis Roberto Ferrer from Argentina. And the essay that he had submitted is Conflict Resolution of the Falkland Island Dispute. I'm not sure that what we just discussed would totally apply in his case, but obviously we are very much looking forward to the presentation. It is again a recorded presentation that we are trying to integrate live now into today's Hangout. So let's see, hopefully it works. So for a moment we may need to wait for the presentation to start, but I think there we might already go.
Hello, my name is Luis Fader. I'm from Argentina, but I live in Russia. I'm a student of the specialization courses Challenges in Global Affairs. Before all, I want to thank the organizer for this opportunity to take part in this last Hangout. Also, I want to say that it is especially important for me considering that it was my first experience in essay writing in the English language. That is why being among the 4 best essays is an unexpected achievement. I decided to write about conflict resolution. Maybe my main motivation is my wish of peace in the world, because recently many wars has occurred and I'd like to help to avoid them in the future. For my work, I chose the diplomatic conflict between Argentina and Britain around Falkland Islands. Basically, the main purpose of my work is making an attempt to avoid a possible conflict between these countries, considering the delicate war political situation nowadays. I considered 2 hypotheses. On one hand, how to persuade the parts of the conflict to negotiate a peace agreement that includes the demilitarization of the island by UK and the recognition of Falkland Islands as an independent state by Argentina. The first hypothesis considers diplomatic conflict resolution in order to avoid a war and finish a territorial dispute that has existed almost for 190 years. On the other hand, if in the future the situation turns into an armed conflict, it is necessary to use all possible options that could stop the war. In this case, I thought about the possibility of intervention in the conflict of the Security Council of UN as an instrument of keeping the peace. I presented a probable UN peacemaker that includes all the members of the Security Council, including UK. This mission has the goal of preventing any armed conflict in the region between Argentina and UK in the hypothetical situation if a civil war begins. It is necessary to avoid any conflict that might trigger a regional war in South America. My essay is an attempt to find a way to keep the peace in the South Atlantic. It's a crucial issue because the global situation is unpredictable and any conflict can trigger a regional war. Of course, I recommend you read my essay if you are interested in knowing more about the Falkland Malvinas territorial dispute and some ways of conflict resolution based in the context of challenges in global affairs. I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to participate here one more time. It was a very interesting experience, and after your course, I'd like to continue developing my knowledge in the area of global affairs. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. very clear. And even with the subtitles that catch the message of the presentation. Absolutely clear. I see that you wanted to jump in. I must say it is something that's really telling us that there is an interest here in finding solutions to a absolutely important conflict and looking at institutional ways and also practical diplomatic ways of solving this. I must say that I find this extremely interesting and appealing, and of course it can also kind of trigger exactly that. I think that is wonderful, but that may not be the reaction.
I was very interested in involving the United Kingdom in the negotiations, of which it's also one of the parties in the conflict. I thought that was very interesting, and going for disarmament as opposed to recognition of the two as a sort of deliberate trade-off, trying in a way to approach each country's concerns while still trying to find a solution. That's often a difficult trick to manage, and since it hasn't been managed even today, we're still there with a situation of a frozen conflict, though I don't think quite as bad as it was in the 1980s when it actually did come to a fight between the two nations. It's my impression that the Malvinas Falkland issue has died down a little, but with nationalistic politics always possible, it can always flare up, not because of anything changing, but because of leaders playing back the national card to their own populace. So, yeah, as long as it stays there, it can always flare up again very unpredictably.
And wonderful to think about potential ways, knowing the complexity of the situation, to creatively think about solutions. And I must again emphasize that the diplomacy element that Louis seems to naturally bring in about how could you do this in such a tricky situation. So wonderful to see this contribution, and again also to Louis, you'll probably see this later, but really congratulations also, given that this is the first essay written in English.
But I'm very impressed because I mean, the winners, or the four of you, only one has English as the native language, and yet the standard of the way you've been able to express yourself was not grammatically perfect, but that we understand. But the fact that you are able and capable of articulating your ideas at a high level is something I find incredibly impressive. And I found that right the way through the essays we've been reading. Well done, everyone who involved.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it gets time to Leah, right?
Sorry. And I think here's also a good opportunity to thank once again all the peer evaluators to do this good job in not being biased by the language, but really focusing on the content of the essay and not just the words as such. So here, once again, a big thank you for all the great reviews that you have written. So that's just a small comment that I want to add.
Yes, thank you very much. I think we very much share this sense. Unfortunately, we cannot really ask Aida or Louis to ask us questions, but we have one live participant with us, Tamirlan. Tamirlan, before closing our Hangout, we'll have some final comments, I think. But is there anything that you wanted to ask or to mention before we start closing today's session?
Yes, I want to ask you about the international organization, yes? If we talk about conflict resolution with the big five countries which have a right of veto in the UN Security Council, is it possible to say about the impact of United Nations at all to resolving in these conflicts? Because most countries will use their vetoes, as Russia used their vetoes in the Ukraine conflict, and China also can use their veto in the Taiwan conflict. United Kingdom can use their veto in a Falkland conflict. Is it possible to use this or not? I want to ask you.
I'll leave it to you.
Yeah, that's of course a very tricky thing, and we're all aware of the movement and the pressure to adapt or even institutional reform the Security Council in the global order MOOC. that was one of the elements, thinking about potential solutions, knowing the constraints in reality. And I think the sense what you are actually articulating now is, of course, something that is felt very often, like how representative of the community in today's world would the current constellation be, and that's why there are so many plans to either expand the Security Council, trying to bring on board new members, either as permanent or semi-permanent members, or maybe non-permanent with re-election possibilities. So I think the sense what you were just saying is something that is, of course, it's shared, and there is obviously an awareness that maybe something would need to happen, and at the same time we know the trickiness. Once rules are in place and institutions are in place, it's not easy to just say, hey, let's reform. There is, of course, a path dependence, and there are veto rights also in terms of institutional reform. But I can see your reaction to this, and from my own side, this is indeed something that will be very crucial. If you look at the future, it will never be easy to say who actually deserves a seat in the Security Council, because there are so many different indicators, and there are rivalries, as we know, at who could be in there. But a very valid point. But then again, I think independent of that, it's wonderful to think about potential solutions. Yeah, so that was the question that you wanted to raise. I don't know whether anyone else wanted to get in on that.
Leah, it's also your territory.
Yeah, so the only thing that I can add here is that, so for instance, the MOOC on international organization management and also public-private partnerships shows that also change can come from other fields. So for instance, collaborative endeavors to actually change something. So maybe we also sometimes have to be a bit creative in finding solutions and believing in them. So that is my idea on that. In general, thank you very much for having participated in this Hangout. I think it's great to have you live here and defend actually your essay. So thank you very much. That's much appreciated.
Yep. Yeah, I think we're coming to wrapping this up now. I'd like to say this has been a great experience being able to work with my colleagues here as well, and with all of you. I'm very impressed that, because the MOOCs are what, 2.5 years old, and when I speak to people like you and hear your voice, yeah, possibly we have started doing something differently in terms of higher education, and it motivates us to see the way that you respond to the opportunity. It isn't being patronizing, but if you're sitting with a camera and you're broadcasting, then it's not often you get the opportunity to really exchange opinions directly with you. So I think from my side to thank everybody out there who's been in all of the courses, not just the capstone, but the build up to these courses. And yeah, we hope that this experiment in MOOCs will continue and expand even further, and who knows, eventually link up with academic work and academic qualifications, because at the moment there's a separation between the two. When we resolve the question of control over who does what exactly, we can then start giving credits, and people can actually participate in building up their university portfolios using this new medium. It's always difficult with a new medium. It took academics ages to get used to the invention of the printing press, so it'll take a while before they get used to MOOCs as well. But thank you all for taking part. I want to ask just very quickly to you though, how many MOOCs have you done, and what exactly are you doing at the moment? Are you studying? Are you a professional?
Me?
Yep.
I'm studying physics today in a Tomsk State University. I'm interested in politics and international relationships. It's my first specialization, challenging global affairs, and it was my second course, MOOC course in changing global order. I'm interested in all of these concepts, theories, and then I choose to continue these courses till the end. it was very helpful for me. Thank you.
Yes, wonderful to see how you bring in this background, and it's nice that different academic backgrounds but interest in similar issues can so nicely be matched. And I think, yes, I can only echo what she said, that it's a wonderful experience for us also to exchange and see indeed how everyone can get integrated in these positive ways. Maybe I should very briefly also say we had another winner. We had Elaire Emery of the US with a paper on transnational strategic mineral accord. Unfortunately, we are not able, sorry, we are, oh yeah, okay, all right. So we will make sure indeed that we can also make sure that this paper will also get the acknowledgement and the credit that it needs to get. There seems to be an issue. There is a snowstorm. I had to interpret it for a moment. I saw the note snowstorm. So what it actually is, there's a snowstorm in Utah, and it seems to make things difficult to get online. All right, that's why Elaire Emery couldn't join us, unfortunately, with the paper and with the presentation.
It's on the news this morning.
There we are. Academics being so busy with their own things that we weren't aware there is a snowstorm. But our apologies then to Elaire, and at the same time our congratulations for an excellent paper. Of course, this will also be integrated into the ebook, and so we can actually all, instead of seeing the presentation or hearing the presentation, we can see that paper and read it. So again, that's also one of the winners in this contest, if you wish. Okay, so I think from my side, I would only want to say thank you all. And my colleagues, maybe there is a final word.
Also, thank you from me, and I hope we meet again somewhere in MOOCland. Leah, it's been a pleasure to work with you.
Also, thank you from my side. I must say that it was a lot of fun, also really for me, and especially to read the essays and also to see that you come from all different areas in the world, and then you comment and post actually comments on the forum and interact, and like this, the world is getting really smaller. I really like this idea, and I hope that you really keep your passion for challenges in global affairs, because there's a lot to research and to apply, and also maybe that you stay connected as a community. And so all the best for your future, and thank you very much for having participated in our specialization. I hope it was also fun for you. And also thank you for my team. So also with you, it was great to collaborate.
Absolutely. Same
So
from our
same from
side.
us too.
Yeah. Exactly. Thank you. Wonderful teams, wonderful collaboration. And again, maybe
congratulations to all the students.
To all the students, indeed, who were involved in this. And thanks again to Timirlan, who was in here live, to Aida and Louis, who were kind of in here live, and Elaire, who was almost in here live. Thank you.
Thank you. So goodbye from us in Leiden.
And goodbye from University of Geneva. Bye.